It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Songwriters Round! With me today, two of my absolute favorite special guests. Join me, Evelyn Holland and Kyle Walz. We're going to be showcasing a brand new song that I am writing. Now, I don't want to say I've written because the clay is still wet. I'd really like to take whatever you dudes think and, see if I can just make a couple of little tiny tweaks to make it so that the song is really worth producing and making a music video and all that great stuff.
I'm excited to try something new and hear what you got started so far too.
Songwriting is a process. And so one of the pitfalls I've fallen into in the past is overproducing for something like this, giving the result that I end up too invested, right, in what I've created. And so then I'm more apt to take things personally when I shouldn't, or just be unwilling to change when somebody has a really good idea and I should. There's that word should, right? I actually need be listening. And so this is just stage one of songwriting. I literally recorded one guitar and I did 2 takes of the lead vocal, of which I use both. And I did 2 takes of a background vocal, of which I use both. Without further ado, Kyle and Eve react to my new song, Goodbye. Here we go.
It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye. I never wanted our friendship to end. It's time to say goodbye. I wish I could take back the messages I sent. It's time to say goodbye, 'cause I made a mistake. Goodbye, I deeply regret. It's time to say goodbye. Try to apologize, forgive and forget. It's time to say goodbye. Shout to an empty room. Goodbye. You send no reply. It's time to say goodbye. I'm here if you change your mind. Goodbye. Till then I say goodbye. I tried to be a good friend, the best friend that I can. I admit I could have been there more. Nobody's perfect. I tried to make amends for the pain I caused you. My hands are tied, what can I do? It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It's time to say goodbye. I never wanted our friendship to end. It's time to say goodbye. I wish I could take back the messages I sent. It's time to say goodbye, 'cause I made a mistake. Goodbye, I deeply regret. It's time to say goodbye. Try to apologize, forgive and forget. It's time to say goodbye. Shout to an empty room. Goodbye. You send no reply. It's time to say goodbye. I'm here if you change your mind. Goodbye. Till then I say goodbye.
Yeah, it's catchy. It's definitely it needs something like I think it needs a bridge, just like to break through that repetitive chord progression, and then come back to the main theme. You know what I mean?
Cool, yeah. I'm not sure how I would do that without making it longer. I'm trying to keep it like I wanted
Compact.
it to be 2 minutes, and it's like
Yeah.
2:22. So it's like a little longer than I wanted already.
Wonder, yeah, because I was thinking something along the same lines. And because you could almost look at your chorus as being like a verse and a chorus, like because you have the refrain part, at the top of your chorus, and then more of the verse aspect. And I don't know, I was trying to think, how could you break it up somehow, and maybe just brainstorming a little bit. And I'm trying to think of the chords you had. Well, it started with the E, right? So maybe like if you didn't went from E and maybe to like a G major and hit like that G major for something a little different and said something about friendship. And it would maybe add just a few seconds, but that would totally shift those two sections and put
Like a
something
one line.
weird right in the middle. And that kind of matches up with
Yeah.
the D that you throw in there that was on the second page. A different way to, kind of harmonically hint it. Hey, there's going to be this other chord in there too.
So variation on a theme.
I could extend that C major seventh longer, and then have an
Yeah.
extra line, and then like maybe like a pause, and then it's time to say goodbye, and you kick back in.
I wonder
Maybe
if
stretch that
like
part out a tiny bit.
sliding from like a C major 7 and throwing a B7 in there.
But no, see, that's part. You caught me.
So,
That's part of the trick. I
okay.
always use too much. I always use dominant chords. I always use dominant
Gotcha.
chords. I always use dominant chords. And for this song, the hook starts on the dominant.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I started out playing that B chord. It just it's not the sound that I want for this song.
I get you.
That's too stable. I want the C major seventh with the B on top because that's so much more like longing. Like the song is like I really want this resolution, but it's not going to happen, and so it's time to say goodbye. And that's like, so it's like got that bittersweet. Every chord of the whole song is major, but yet the entire melody is minor. There's not one there's actually one part where I sing the major third for the melody where it goes, the best friend that I can, and then I end up going down on the G.
Yeah.
G sharp, A, G, F sharp, E. And so it gives that nice like blues kind of feel where,
It was
in between.
reminded me of I wanted to say Beatles or Lennon. I mean,
wow, thank you.
It was hinting at some of that. Yeah. The only other thing, and this is me being a picky English teacher type person, so don't, take this with as much weight as you think it deserves. With the lyrics, there was a lot of very literal, like, you're my friend, I made a mistake, and things like that. And how could you, instead of just saying literally what happened, how could you show what happened? Like, what's a way you could use imagery or something to show that there was a mistake? And yeah, I get, because I've written songs that are very literal, and that's part of the power of them. But with this, since you have that, repetition in the background, it might be cool to contrast some of that literal description with something a little bit more poetic, like a little bit of metaphor to make people think like, oh, what does that mean? Oh, why are they saying goodbye so much? It's like, yeah, because we can all relate to that. But because sometimes those details of metaphor really bring universal aspects to light, because then people can interpret it. It's like, well, shoot, for me, it means this, and someone else could, 10 other people think of it 10 different ways. But I don't know. Not that I'm gonna like offer an idea and then say it's kind of stupid, but like I said before, sometimes songs like that, the power is being just right up front about it. But that might be something to play with.
I kind of agree with Kyle. It's almost too direct, I think, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess like the power, like lyrical power, comes from I want to say, yeah, like you said, powerful imagery, but almost like hinting at it, but not like being super literal about it, unless that's,
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, it depends. It's contextual, but with this, in this context, yeah, I think this song would benefit from, being a little more subtle.
Yeah, the writing technique, like in prose poetry, is showing versus telling. And it's like, how do you show regret? What's a way you could describe that? And of course, you're trying not to elongate your song, so that's a suggestion that would totally make your song, maybe 15 seconds longer or something. But it might be something you might think of a really clever way to describe regret, a mistake, that wouldn't add a whole lot of syllables or lines to it, and that would be finding, as a songwriter, that's always the hard part, is like, hey, here's something that's been said a million times. How do I say it in a novel way, and trying to think of a imagery or an image or a symbol for that or something.
Yeah, for sure. Evelyn Holland, Kyle Walz, this very first episode of Songwriters Round, featuring my brand new song, Goodbye. Everybody, more versions of the song are to come. So make sure you check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/Matthews Music Lesson Studio. That's where you can get your bonus video every single week. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on Songwriters Round.
See ya.